Sorry if the camera's off, you all. I have low vision, but the Ford Vulcan came out in 1986. It ran production all the way up until 2007 when it ended production. The Ford Vulcan is awesome, bulletproof, well, not actually bulletproof, but what I mean, it's indestructible. You can beat the snot out of these engines, and they just keep going and going. They're a 3.0 V6. Now, they're made by Ford. In 1989, Ford released the SHO Taurus. That was also a 3-liter Vulcan, but it was modified by Yamaha. Ford sent it over to Japan, and it got Yamaha to do a build on it, and they put different piston heads, dual overhead cam, 4 valves per cylinder. It was state of the art. Back in '89, it was the world's fastest sedan. Yes, the Ford Taurus SHO ranked one year as the fastest sedan in the world. And it competed against Ferrari, against VMWs. It was a Mustang killer back in the day. In 89 to 93, it was manual, but in 93, an automatic version came out, and they stroked the 3.0. It was still a 3.0, but they stroked it up to a 3.2 liter, and the 3.2 liter ended production in 1995. The Ford Vulcan was in many different cars. It was in the Taurus. It was in the, if you all remember, the Windstar. You could get a Windstar with a 3.0 Vulcan, or you could get 3.8. In my opinion, the 3.0 Vulcan is more reliable than 3.8. The 3.8 had many head gasket failures, many different kinds. Yes, the Vulcan had head gasket failures in the late 80s. But Ford got past that in the early 90s. They fixed the issues with the head gasket failures. The Vulcan, I see some of them, and you can call junkyards if you don't believe me. The Ford Vulcan can go 500, 600, 700,000 miles and still run. They outlived the cars. The Taurus problem was that the electrical didn't go, the transmission went. Those cars would keep climbing and climbing and climbing in mileage. The Vulcan, in my opinion, if you want a cheap car to maintenance, the Vulcan is for you. Find a Ford with a Vulcan. One that was not abused, one that was not modified, one that is stock, and you'll have yourself a good car, a good workhorse. It will get you from point A to point B. Okay gas mileage, about 25 highway if you have a plain old Vulcan car. Now, the Tempo had the 3.0 in it too, and a couple Escorts had the 3.0, and a couple Probes had the 3.0, and a couple other cars Ford made had the 3.0. The Fusion, the Focus could come with a 3.0 if you special ordered it. The Ford 500 came with a 3.0 or came with the Duratec V6. The Duratec 3.0, stay away from that. The Duratec you do not want. They have many problems, and that's an interference engine. You want to stick with the Ford Vulcan. That's the best reliable engine in my opinion. And another thing, when you buy a car, not many people know, an interference engine, timing snaps, poof, your car's done. Throws rod right through the engine. Tears the engine apart, literally. The valves and the timing belt snaps, all the pistons and everything, they keep rotating. Which, if it's a non-interference engine, it all stops, and no damage is done until you put the new timing belt or timing chain on. But an interference engine destroys itself if the timing lets go, if a water pump fails, or if certain components fail in your engine with an interference engine, the engine will fail. Well, the Ford Vulcan is a non-interference engine, so you don't have to worry about none of that. There are also some cars with non-interference engines, but you got to look into it. Before you buy a car, check the crash rating, not through the dealer, not through the manufacturer. Go on Google and right where it says search, type in what is the crash rating for such and such car, whatever you're getting in a year. And that will tell you if it's a safe car. Some cars are not that safe. Like the Ford Mustang. Not many people know the secret. It's just like the Pinto, it blows up rear-ended. The fuel tank is located behind the rear axle. And if it gets rear-ended, it can blow up. And there are a couple other cars like that too. But most importantly, check before you buy. It might look like a nice car, you might fall in love with it, but your safety is a top priority, and saving your money and your wallet is another good thing. So always look at the If it's an interference engine, which it's hard to find a non-interference car nowadays, try and find a non-interference engine, and I highly recommend it will help you all out and save him money. And it will be the longest lasting car you ever got if you got a non-interference engine and you treat it and you keep it up. That thing will keep going and going and going. I myself, I have a non-interference outside, and that sucker has surprised me because it's needed valve cover since I bought it, the valve cover gasket, but I haven't fixed it yet, and it needs a couple other things with the engine, and that sucker starts every day, and she goes. I can't believe it. I have another 3.0 up at my storage that's over 300,000 miles, still goes. But this last one is about the Ford Vulcan V6. And also, did you know the Ford Vulcan has a performance club out of Georgia? And they sell high performance parts for the Ford Vulcan V6. You can supercharge it, you can turbo it. There's people pushing 400 horsepower to Ford Vulcan. And Vulcan is from the iron god. That's why Ford named it Vulcan, because the engine is all iron and everything's made out of iron. So that's why it's a long lasting engine, because everything's built to last. It's no aluminum on the Ford Vulcan, it's all iron, cast iron. Now, you might get a few belt pulleys that are aluminum or the coolant lines that are aluminum, but other than that, it's all steel, the engine. And the Ford Vulcan, you can cut your fourth cat off and straight pipe it by not running a straight pipe itself, but running a regular straight exhaust pipe and welding it. And you won't even tell the difference. You won't hear it running different, and it will add some ponies underneath the hood. And if it throws a code, God forbid, you get a spark plug spacer, put it on your O2 sensor, and it will make it so the car thinks the last cat's there, and it will fool it. Then it will still pass inspection. And the Ford Vulcan is an awesome car. You can soup it up if you wanna, but once again, when you start pushing power out, you lose the reliability of the engine. Now, if you want a fast car and something reliable, the Ford Vulcan could be for you, but make sure you build it the right way. Do your research and see what works and what don't work with the Ford Vulcan. How to soup it up the right way. There are Ford clubs called the Vulcan Club that you can look at on how to soup it up. See you all in the next cool video.